guitar player living in San Francisco, and I walked into a music store on Haight Street where a guy named Rodney Alvin was building guitars and teaching guitar making. I fell in love with the idea and signed up and made a couple guitars. From there, I've pretty much been on my own, although I did work for a year or so in Boston with a guy named Owen Shaw. He made violins and viola da gambas and taught me how to carve tops for archtop guitars. We had an order for a 7-string, or he did, and he passed it on to me, and that was my first archtop guitar. There weren't any books really on the subject. There was a one-page article on Jimmy D'Acquisto from New York that I kind of read every day, but that's how I started. Well, an archtop guitar is a guitar that was developed in the 30s, originally as a rhythm guitar to play with big bands. They have a big chunky rhythm sound that could cut through a lot of the sound of a big band. But in later development, they really are used more for solo jazz guitar and bebop guitar. Their voice is unique and lends itself to that kind of music. While you can play any kind of music on any kind of guitar, the archtop really lends itself to jazz and improvisation. Of course, the overall beauty of the guitar is determined by the arch of the back and the front, and you know, those proportions, as far as I'm concerned, matter a lot. And you know, what you're looking for in a guitar is something that is really sensual, and that usually comes with curves. So that goes as far as you know, with many things, but certainly I feel guitars need to be sensual, and they generally are. The flat top guitars, although they are slightly arched in the top as well, this is done through bracing and the bending of the wood. While an archtop guitar is carved from solid wood into its curved form. And the archtop guitar generally has F-holes, and you know, for those of you that have seen people with guitars that look a little like violins, they're kind of a bridge between the violin and the guitar family, in that they're made similarly and with similar materials as violins and cellos, being maple back and sides and spruce tops. Kind of a departure from standard guitar construction, whether it be classical or steel string, into archtop, which is a specific type of guitar with a carved back and top. Although I've met many builders in my day, and we all come up with a lot of our own methods, it's pretty standard that you start out with deciding what kind of wood you're going to use, you know, and that is based basically on what kind of tone you're looking for. Also, aesthetics are involved. You know, people want a dark guitar, or you know, an archtop guitar, I always make them out of maple and spruce, but they can be colored in various ways. So once the wood is selected, then you know, we start gluing the top together, and once that's done, you start shaping and carving and spending, you know, many hours fine-tuning these pieces. Details need to be decided as far as the binding, or the outer edge of the guitar has usually a decorative strip, whether it's plastic. I use wood. Not only does it look great, but it protects the guitar from absorbing moisture into the end grain of the top and the back, and from getting the inevitable bangs that it will receive in its life. The edge kind of protects it in a, you know, relatively pleasing way. So the guitar is brought together and, you know, tuned and finessed to as high a level as I can achieve, and then the finishing process begins, which is generally sprayed, water-based, environmentally friendly lacquer at this time, and tinted or shaded, depending on what I feel like doing or what the customer is asking for. And then, you know, the fun part actually begins when you put the strings on and all of a sudden an instrument is born. It's really kind of like a birth process. The most fun for me is there's a period, or there seems to be a place where, you know, the accumulation of wood and metal and various parts come together, but then you put the strings on it and there's something that happens that gives it a voice that, although maybe similar in respects to guitars that I make, they still all have their own voice, just like every other family member it's a really wonderful time for me when the guitars are coming to that level and showing me who they really are.